Back once again, it's your boy Alan Spidey with another wrestling related, not so much a review, it's more of an opinion. And today I want to talk about nice looking wrestling championship belts. And these are my top 5 championship belt designs ever since I started watching professional wrestling. So this is more or less my favorite ones from the years of 1988 to our current year. So without further ado, let's get started. And coming in at number 5, I'm going to go with the WCW Tag Team Championship belts. The ones that were introduced in the year 1999. These were introduced to Curt Hennig and Barry Windham. These things were a thing of beauty. Now, the designs that came before this, I did like them, but these ones just, I don't know, they popped. It's just how shiny they were. And, you know, these belts looked good on pretty much everybody. I think my favorite tag team champions, like, as far as who they looked the best on, I'm probably going to have to go with Mark Jindrak and Sean O'Haire. But I really love these tag team championship belts. These are, without a doubt, my favorite tag team championship belts that have ever been created, and that even includes WWE All That. These are my favorite tag team championship belts. So WCW definitely takes the win on this design here. Number 4, the WWF Intercontinental Championship. When I started watching, the champion was the Ultimate Warrior. And I loved this design. It popped. I think at the time I actually liked this design even more than the Winged Eagle WWF Championship. For some reason, I thought this title actually looked a little bit bigger than their main championship, which I thought was a little weird. But the Intercontinental Championship, that's another championship that I thought pretty much looked good on everybody. Well, maybe not everybody, but for guys like Macho Man Randy Savage, let's see who else. Mr. Perfect. The Ultimate Warrior, of course. That's just a few of the names I can think of that this championship looked good on. And interesting fact, Malin actually owns the yellow Intercontinental Championship belt replica, and I own the black one. Now, as far as Malin's replica goes, I wanted to get her a championship belt for her birthday. And I took her to a wrestling show in 2022, a house show. And I go up to the merchandise booth, and there's 2 replicas for sale, which they both say commemorative. One was the blue Universal Championship, and one was the yellow Intercontinental Championship. And I said to the lady, I said, are these both commemorative? And she said, yes. I asked her to pull down the yellow Intercontinental Championship because I've never seen a yellow Intercontinental commemorative replica. So I knock on the championship belt, the center plate with my knuckles, and sure enough, it's metal. And I look at her, I'm like, $200, you say, huh? And she's like, yes, sir, $200. I figured that was a steal. For a metal replica, that was a steal. And also, that made Malin's night. I actually tried to trade her my black Intercontinental Championship belt for the yellow, and she was not having it. But that is my number 4 pick, is the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Coming in at number 3, the United Kingdom Championship, WWE. This thing is gorgeous. The first champion was Tyler Bate, and upon the reveal of this design, I instantly fell in love with it. I saw this design, and I'm like, yo, I got to pick up that replica when it drops. Now, sure enough, I waited until it pretty much went on sale. I don't even know if the championship was still around when I bought the replica. I think I might have waited. I think it was kind of on its way out when I picked up the replica. But this is one replica that I pretty much will take with me anywhere. I've taken this one to a couple of shows, and I've just gotten a ton of compliments on it. I do have the Pete Dunne side plates for my replica, but right now I have my 2022 Royal Rumble side plates installed on it because that's actually where I took the championship with me to the first time. And I do think this championship belt probably looked the best on Tyler Bate. Although it didn't look too bad on Gunther, even though Gunther was really not in the best shape at this time. This was before, he got a lot thinner and all that. Pete Dunne, he looked cool with it too. I didn't really like when he carried it in his mouth. I'm not a fan of when wrestlers do that. And am I missing a champion here? Dragunov had it. Looked pretty good on him. And then, of course, the belt went back to Tyler Bate, and Bron Breakker ended up winning it last. But it was more of a unification thing, so I don't know if they count his reign. But I actually think the United Kingdom Championship was better looking than every championship during this time, including the WWE Championship. So my number 3 is the United Kingdom Championship belt. Coming in at number 2. At number 2 and number 1, it was so hard to pick a favorite. The Attitude Era WWF Championship belt, which was introduced to Stone Cold Steve Austin the night after he defeated Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. What more can I say? This championship is sick. As soon as Stone Cold Steve Austin dropped down that winged eagle and draped that bad boy over his shoulder, I'm like, that's a sick looking championship. The size of it was bigger than the winged eagle. The center plate, it just, it stood out. The side plates, I believe this championship had, it had 5 side plates, because there was a third one on there that they didn't normally do at the time. But this championship belt looked good on everybody too. I mean, looked good with Stone Cold Steve Austin just kind of carrying it around. The Rock, when The Rock had it, I liked when he came out with the $500 shirt and he kind of buckled it up and held it to his side. I think that was probably the coolest it looked. Now, it did look good around Triple H's waist, even though I cannot stand Triple H. I never have been a fan of that jerk, and I never will. But I actually think this championship did look the best on The Rock, even though he didn't actually wear it. The championship belt also looked really good on Kurt Angle. Although by then, around that time, I think the belt got a little bit less shiny, but it really didn't take away from anything. But when they brought this championship out to Stone Cold Steve Austin, I swear it was one of the prettiest things I've ever seen in my life. So I'm going to throw out some honorable mentions before I get to my number 1 pick. And for honorable mentions, the WWF European Championship. I know a lot of wrestlers were not a fan of actually holding this championship belt, but I thought the design was very nice looking. European Championship, my favorite champion was actually D'Lo Brown, but as far as who it looked the best on, I actually thought this championship belt looked the best on Test. Another mention, I got to go with the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship belts. Specifically, this one. I actually own this replica, and I got it autographed by Jeff Hardy. Now, Ring of Honor has had many Tag Team Championship belt designs also, but this one is easily their best. Just the colors, the black, the red, even the replica, the weight and all that. I mean, this replica is better than a lot of the WWE Shop Zone replicas. I actually picked up my Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship belt replica for about $195 off. I think I got it off eBay. And it's the actual replica they used to sell on Wrestling Superstore. So it's as good as they get, and I don't regret that purchase at all. Smoke and Skull belt, which Stone Cold Steve Austin brought in. My only issue with this championship is I thought the title belt was actually a little small. But the snake skin, the center design, all that, I mean, that you could tell that thing was just made for Stone Cold. I just wish it was the same size as the Attitude Edition championship that Stone Cold had originally won. I just wish it was the same size, and it probably would have been one of my favorites. For my final honorable mention, I got to go with the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Now, this was probably one of my favorite championship belt designs when I started watching WCW. And Rey Mysterio was the champion at the time, and, Rey Mysterio was a smaller guy. I thought it looked so good on him. Chris Jericho was another guy this championship looked good on. Alex Wright. Eddie Guerrero, even though Eddie Guerrero, actually, I only remember him wearing the championship one time. After that, I remember him kind of draping it over his shoulder like Roman Reigns does, though. And I think this entrance actually fit Eddie better. You know, I never liked when Roman did it this way. I feel like Eddie Guerrero was the one that made that famous. And also it looked really good on Shane Helms when he won the championship, like around when WCW was hitting their dying days. Also looked really good on Shane Helms, even though he actually brought this championship over to WWE as well. So that brings me to my number one pick. And to no surprise, it is the big gold belt. This championship belt was in the NWA, it was in WCW, and it was in WWE. And I really don't have a preference on which design it is, because the championship itself, it just does something for me, man. Anybody that carried this championship, they just looked like a star. It just spoke gold. You know, the center plate, side plates, the little red studs in there. This was a thing of beauty. Now, as much as I can't stand Ric Flair, that is the name that pops out the most when you think of this championship belt. This championship belt was also held by, I'm going to kind of jump around here, two of the guys that looked good on. Bill Goldberg in WCW. See, in WWE, as much as I can't stand to say this, it did look pretty good on Triple H, although I absolutely hated his reign. I hated that Reign of Terror so much, I couldn't stand it. I thought it just looked okay on The Rock. I preferred the WWE Championship on him, well, WWF Championship at the time. I think who else this championship looked good on? Batista. Looked really good on Batista. I also remember when Christian had this championship that the outer part of it had like red snakeskin. And I think by this time the championship was a little bit smaller, but it didn't take anything away from it because it looked really good on Christian's shoulder as well, although he didn't have the championship very long. But this championship belt just looks good on everybody. And I have this replica as well, signed by Chris Jericho and Booker T. I know that's another person I forgot to mention. Booker T looked like a total badass with this championship too. So these are my top picks for best looking wrestling championship belt designs. I really hope you liked this video. If you did, hit that like button and please subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.